For those of you in the hallway, if you could just start joining us. If you could start finding your seats. If you could start finding your seats, please. All right. Does everyone have a seat that needs a seat? All right. No one doesn't? Perfect. All right, so we'll just get started. One housekeeping item. If you're like me and you've traveled around this building looking for a bathroom, I'm going to save you a little bit of pain. The ladies' restroom, straight down the hall, across the little lobby area in the center. Guys' restroom, just downstairs, first staircase you see as soon as you go out down that hall. All right. With that said, I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Welcome and thank you for joining us with this afternoon to recognize National Foster Care Month and to celebrate in what, in my opinion, is one of the best events on the Hill of the year, 3rd Annual Congressional Foster Youth Shadow Day. Yeah. All right. This year, nearly 70 young people from across the nation traveled to Washington, D.C. to shadow a member of Congress. We started this 3 years ago. In that year, we had the first year we had 35, and the second year we had 50, and then we had 67 members shadowed this year. I'm hoping that one day we can reach a point where we have every single member of Congress able to interact with a young person from foster care, to have a shadow on Congressional Foster Youth Shadow Day. That is my hope for this event one day. Before we get too much further along, I'm just curious, who's in the room? And in particular, I'll start off with the young people from foster care that are in the room. Will you just give me a hey if you're in the room? Hey! All right. So, members of Congress, I won't force you to say hey. Members of Congress, if you could just raise your hand and let us know that you're here. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. How about the staff members to members of Congress? Because you're important. All right. I know there were more of you than raised your hands. You're just tired, right? Is that what's happening? All right. How about our nonprofit organizations, our noble nonprofits? Where are you at? Nonprofits there in the back. We got some nonprofits here. Nonprofits. Thank you so much. Your work is really important to this whole process, and yes, thank you so much for your work. So who am I? My name is Timothy Bell, and I'm an advocate for alumni of the foster care system. I'm so honored to serve as the MC for this luncheon. I'd like to introduce some folks to you that are going to say some words by way of introduction. These are our co-hosts. First off in that list is Ms. Christine Calpin, who is the Managing Director in Public Policy at Casey Family Programs, which is the nation's largest operating foundation, and might I just say my favorite operating foundation, focused entirely on foster care and improving the child welfare system. Ms. Calpin, will you join us on stage, please?
Thank you. It's always nice to be the favorite operating foundation of a foster youth. So, and it is my distinct pleasure to be here to join my fellow nonprofits and others in welcoming you all to the 3rd Annual Shadow Day. Casey Family Programs is a proud sponsor of both the National Foster Youth Institute, the Congressional Caucus on Foster Youth, as well as the Shadow Day, and we're so thrilled to be part of this exciting opportunity. I just want to offer a great welcome and our gratitude on behalf of our Board of Trustees and our President and CEO, William Bell, for the opportunity to join all of you on such an exciting day. The work that you all do today to lift your voice and share your stories with members of Congress, I know is going to create such personal memories and opportunities for all of you. But I want to just reiterate, as I'm sure many of my partners will, that the work that you'll influence will have long-lasting impacts long after you leave today. The evolvement of policy over the years, based on the stories and the experiences that you all so bravely and eloquently share, just goes above and beyond any number of reports that we love to carry in our nice little folders and bags and hand out, but just really fundamentally illustrates what needs to change about how we serve families and youth in this country. We're so pleased to be a part of that. I'm so honored to be here with all of you and to really encourage all of you to continue to share your stories. The excitement and passion that you shared at the White House today was just phenomenal. I've never seen hands like that up in terms of people being asked to share their comments. You go to meetings in DC and ask for people to talk, and people just don't raise their hands. So keep speaking up, keep talking. Please continue to come back. Continue to be advocates on behalf of yourself, but even more so, you all recognize the hundreds of thousands of youth for whom you represent. So enjoy your lunch, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Christine. All right, so next up, I'd like to introduce Mr. Conway Collis. The Conway Collis is representing the National Foster Youth Institute. They are a newly minted organization dedicated to connecting policymakers with foster youth and families through innovative programs and policies. Mr. Conway Collis is the board chair for that newly minted organization. So please give a hand and welcome Conway Collis.
Is it wonderful to have former foster youth and members of Congress to be able to learn from each other as you are today? Let's give them both a hand. On behalf of myself and two of my fellow National Foster Youth Institute board members are also with us today, Dr. Wendy Smith and David Herbst. Let's hear it for them. I just want to say a few thank yous. First is to the Casey Family Foundation for the work that you've done and for your help in sponsoring today's events. Second, to the Foster Club for the work that the Foster Club has done. And then I think some special thank yous. The first is to the members of Congress that are participating today, because the one thing that you can be sure is that advocating for foster youth and votes for foster youth, there ain't no votes in that out there. That's not something that you do because it's politically expedient. It's because the members of Congress that are involved do it because they realize that it's part of what they ought to do as parents, as elected officials, and as Americans. So I think we owe them a particular debt of gratitude. Second, Dr. Phil, who will be here shortly. And Dr. Phil, I think, through the work that he's done, through his show, and through his work on behalf of foster youth, he and his wife, Robin, have given enormous service to the cause of improving outcomes for foster youth in America. You know, I want to particularly note the two co-chairs of the advisory committee of the National Foster Youth Institute and the two co-chairs of the Congressional Foster Youth Caucus, Congressman Tom Marino and Congresswoman Karen Bass. I just have to say one particular word about Congresswoman Bass and also her Deputy Chief of Staff, Jenny Wood, who actually initiated the idea 3 years ago of the Shadow Day in the Congress. Jenny thought of the idea, brought it to Congresswoman Bass, and that's how Shadow Day started 3 years ago. So those are two people that we really owe a debt of gratitude to. And finally, and most important, for each of the former foster youth that are here today, the experience, the wisdom, the perspective that you bring is what national policy that's aimed at improving outcomes for foster youth, you are the ones that need to guide it and to form it, and we're extremely grateful to you for sharing your experience with us. Thank you very much.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you so much. I'm personally excited to see what comes from this newly minted organization and the fantastic connections that they can make with policymakers and the perspectives of the young people that have been there, that have been in the foster care system, that have things to say. I'm very excited for that. So next up, I would like to bring Representative Karen Bass onto the stage to say a few words to us. Thank you.
Hey there. Hey there. Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, that's very, very nice. It's great to see you guys. I know that you had a great morning, and I hope you had a wonderful shadow experience. And I know everybody's hungry, so we're going to get to it. We have our special guest, who I'm going to introduce in a minute. But first of all, I have to introduce my partner, Congressman Tom Marino from Pennsylvania, the co-chair of the Congressional Caucus on Foster Youth. Come on up, Tom. You got to join me up here. Come on, come on, come on. Tom is going to say hello. I'm going to introduce the members of Congress, and then I'm going to bring up our special guests.
Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. All the young folks, Karen and I have been working on this for a couple of years. We're neighbors. Our offices are right next door to one another. We reach out and do a lot of bipartisan work together. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been involved in foster care a very long time. Big brother, big sister, and my babies, who are now 19 and 15, are adopted. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be with you, and I will be around here somewhere if you have any questions. Please keep doing what you're doing. The sponsors, thank you so much. Karen and I will be working very hard at this end, and we appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I want to acknowledge the members of Congress that are here. First of all, of course, I have to start with our dean that's here. Dean, mentor, wonderful individual, Representative Charlie Rango from the state of New York. Trent Franks. Is Trent Franks in the room? Trent Franks was with us. Want to acknowledge him. Bobby Scott was here joining us. Janice Hahn, my other next door neighbor. Lacey Clay is in the room. Juan Vargas is in the room. And Mark Takano is in the room. So I want to thank all the members of Congress who I know, and Alan Lowenthal, I see you back there, my buddy from Sacramento. I want to thank all the members of Congress for being here, and I know that votes are going to be called soon, so I'm going to go straight to our special guest. I am so honored to say that we are joined here today by Dr. Phil McGraw. Everybody knows Dr. Phil McGraw. But I have to take a minute to read you some things about him, because I know everybody knows him, but do you know that he is the most well-known mental health professional in the world? He is the host of the dynamic daytime talk show, Dr. Phil. For 11 years, Dr. McGraw has used his show to make psychology accessible and understandable to the general public by addressing important personal and social issues. Using his top-rated show as a teaching tool, he takes aim at the critical issues of our time, including the silent epidemics of bullying, drug abuse, domestic violence, depression, child abuse. Dr. McGraw's work was recognized by the American Psychological Association in 2006 as they honored him with a presidential citation. Dr. Phil and his wife, Robin, have been national spokespersons for CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates. Join me in a round of applause and welcoming Dr. Phil.
Thank you. Well, hello. How's everybody? We'll see. We'll see. You know, my dad always said, you know, boy, the more you do, the less they'll have to say to introduce you. So I must be a terrible failure because you just said so many wonderful things about me. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Well, I hope everybody's excited to be here today. I know I am. I'm on the Hill today talking about foster children, and I'm going to be testifying before Congress here in just a bit. Well, I got a reverse mohawk, so I like hang with you. Listen, I'm going to be brief because I know you have a very jam-packed day, but anytime I get an opportunity to talk to young people, there are some things that I want to say that if you never see me again, you will remember a few things that I might have put in your brain to rattle around in time as it unfolds for you. People used to ask me when I was your age if I had a philosophy of life, and I always thought, I don't have a philosophy. I mean, that's what you read about in a book, right? I mean, I didn't have a philosophy of life. And now I wish that I had. And I think even as young as all of y'all are, as you start out, and the challenges that you've faced in this foster life that you've had to navigate, that you do have a philosophy. And, you know, the first book I ever wrote was back in the 90s, and don't go look for it, it's not in print anymore. Yeah, like you're going to go find it. But I talked in there about the laws of life. And the number one law of life that I talked about was you either get it or you don't. You either get it or you don't. And, you know, I'm here today because I think a lot of people in the foster system that are prescribing drugs and doing some of the things they're doing with y'all just simply don't get it. And so I'm here to try to help them get that you don't get your family back by giving somebody a pill, that you don't fix problems just by putting somebody on medication. I think it's happening too much. But in your life, I want you to sit down and ask yourself, what is it I'm supposed to get? What do I need to figure out to create what I want to create in my own life? Because that's the second life law. You create your own experience. Now look, there's a lot of people that are going to try to write on the slate of who you are. There's a lot of people that are going to try to label you, going to try to tell you who you are, what you can do and what you can't do. But it will be you that creates your own experience. It won't be them. I'll guarantee you they won't decide what happens in your life. When I was 15 years old, I was homeless and living on the street in Kansas City, Kansas. And I understood then people telling me who I was and what I could and couldn't do and where I could go and what I couldn't do, and I chose not to listen to that, and you don't listen to it either. Figure out what it is you need to get. Figure out what you want to create as your own experience, and understand life law 3, the universe rewards action. It does not reward intention, it rewards action. And you need to decide that you want to take action towards some known outcome in your life. Figure out what is it you want and take steps towards that known outcome all the time. And look, is it going to be easy? No. Do you have obstacles in your life? Of course you do. I'll tell you something I've never said out loud. I'm 64 years old here in a few months, 63 now, soon to be 64. I lost my dad about 12 years before he had it planned. He had it all mapped out. He knew when he was going to die, and he got surprised. But I was 42 when he passed, and during the 42 years of my life, I never heard him say, "I'm proud of you." Not one time did I ever hear my father say, "I'm proud of you." And I figured out that sometimes you just have to give yourself what you should get from somebody else. Sometimes you wish you had your mother and father there to say, "Hey, you're going to be okay. You can do this." Put an arm around your shoulder and tell you they're proud of you. But they're just not there to do that. Sometimes you have to give yourself what you wish you would get from somebody else. And I hope you will do that at some point. I hope you will say, "You know what? Whatever's happened, I made it this far. By God, I'm here. I survived. I'm here." And look at you today. You're on Capitol Hill. Look at you. You're here. Yeah, I mean, you're here. Yeah, you're with Dr. Phil. That's a low point in the day. I mean, seriously, give yourself what you wish you would get from somebody else. And I tell you what, it feels pretty good. First time I looked myself in the mirror and said, "You know what, I'm proud of the father you've become." It felt pretty good. I wish I'd heard from somebody else, but I heard it from myself, and it felt pretty good. Do that for yourself, and I will leave you with one last thought. You know, my son Jay, I have two boys, Jay and Jordan. Jay wrote a book about life strategies for teens, and when he was doing that book, he talked to a bunch of teens that were on drugs and then a whole group of teens that were not on drugs. And he asked the teens, "Why are you on drugs?" And he said that the most common answer he got was, "Well, I didn't really have a reason not to." When he asked the kids that weren't on drugs, it wasn't some moral issue. It wasn't something like that. What they said instead was, "You know what, it just didn't fit in with what I was moving towards. I wanted to be on the football team, or I wanted to get a car and a job, or I wanted to be on the debate team, or I wanted to go to whatever. And it just didn't fit in with what I wanted. I had a passion, and it just didn't fit in." And the number one thing that differentiated those kids that were going off in the wrong direction and those that weren't were the ones that weren't had something in their life they were passionate about. They had something in their life they were excited about every single day. And my challenge to you today is, do not let another day go by till you decide what in your life you're excited about. Find something in your life that you're passionate about. Find something in your life that you wake up every day and say, "I want to do this. I want to pursue this." I want you to be so excited that you don't even want to go to bed at night. You just want to sleep fast, just zzz, and jump back up. I want you so excited that you don't even want to sleep. You want to get out and do something, and you can't do that if you don't decide what you are called to do. You don't decide what you are passionate about. So make a goal with yourself to figure out what your passion is. Is it art? Is it music? Is it education? Is it whatever? You know, one of my sons, Jay, went to law school and is a television producer. The other one, Jordan, is a rock and roll guy. He's got a band, Stars in Stereo. He's on tour. He's got a mohawk, make you look like a choir boy. But that's his passion. Find out what lights you up. Find out what your passion is, and then every time some opportunity presents itself, ask yourself, does this get me closer to what I deserve? And if it doesn't, then say no. I'm proud to know you folks. I'm proud to be here to speak to you. I will see you later in the day. Thank you for having me. So long.
How about another round of applause, everybody? How about another round of applause? All right, thank you, Dr. Phil. And on behalf of the youth participants of Congressional Foster Youth Shadow Day, I can honestly say that we were so excited to hear you speak, and we look forward to your remarks later today at the Ways and Means Committee. Your support means a great deal to all of us here today, and we are so very appreciative of your advocacy on behalf of foster youth. So everybody, I know we've done it already, but let's clap him out of the room one more time. One more time for Dr. Phil. All right. So again, I want to thank everyone in attendance today. The perspectives of youth, policymakers, nonprofits, and other professionals are important, but we're missing a critical voice here today. We're missing a very critical voice here today, and that is the broader community, the community that is not necessarily on the Hill. We're missing churches, schools, clubs. We're missing your neighbors. They all need to be invested in foster care if we're going to truly create a better foster care system. All right. So with that said, I want to introduce a video that we're going to queue up here in a second by Foster More, which is an organization devoted to raising awareness about foster care in general in the broader community. All right, so if we could cue that video up, and if we could have folks quiet down just a tad bit as they're exiting.
I am amazing. I'm not a sad case or a broken kid. They say you take on the strength of what you overcome. It's true. I will admire you. I am amazing. I'm not a sad case or a broken kid.
So folks, as meals are being passed out, if there are staff members to members of Congress that are in a seat that are willing to give it up for a young person that does not have a seat, for a person that has been shadowing a young person, would you mind giving up your seat for that person? I don't know if I see a lot, but if there are any young people who are going to go without a meal, we don't want that to happen. So if there are any staff members that are willing to give up their seat, we would be most appreciative.
I am amazing. I'm not a sad case or a broken kid. They say you take on the strength of what you overcome. It's true. I will admire you, frustrate you, inspire you. Sometimes I get scared and need attention. I like stories at bedtime. I speak up when something's unfair, and I hate being ignored. I need adults around me I can trust, who will be there when I fall down. I don't need you to save me, but I do need the same things everyone else does. I want someone to see the best of who I am. I have the potential to change the world. You can make a difference for foster kids. Be a mentor, a parent, a friend. Find out what you've been missing at fostermore.org.
Are there any young people, any Shadow Day participants that don't have a plate, that don't have a seat at a table? Raise your hands, please, if there are. Right here? Do you have a seat? That's your seat, okay. There's another seat? Okay, there's an empty seat over here. And over here, okay. I think we're good. All right, I think we're good. How's the food, everyone? How's the food? Is it good? No one's... All right, so next up, I'd like to introduce Celeste Bodner, who is the Executive Director of Foster Club. Celeste also, Foster Club, yes, give it up, give it up. So Foster Club also was one of the partners of Congressional Foster Youth Shadow Day to help put it on. I will just say that Celeste Bodner is my boss, so if you didn't like anything I said today, just talk to her and she can fire me. I'm just kidding. So without further ado, we'll have Celeste Bodner join us.
Hey guys. So I just want to say a couple thank yous and to tell you how encouraged we are to see this many young people have the opportunity to participate on the Hill. It's really reassuring to see that the idea of having the young people who are personally affected by foster care be invited to share their stories firsthand. Earlier this morning, we had young people who were able to share their morning, their perspectives about foster care with members of the administration. We had the Department of Health and Human Services, HUD, Department of Education, and Department of Labor. We had administration officials who heard straight from the young people in the room about their foster care experiences. Tomorrow, we have members of the National Foster Youth and Alumni Policy Council who will meet with ACF to share their perspective about two important areas that are a priority for Foster Club and for the Policy Council this year, and that's improving the well-being of young people and reducing the vulnerability to predators and sex traffickers. So thank you all for your participation. Shout out to all the young people who made the trip to Washington, D.C. Thank you. Thanks to the Congressional Caucus on Foster Youth for hosting and making this opportunity available, and to Casey Family Programs for making it possible to bring all of the young people to Washington, D.C. But most of all, on behalf of all of the young people who are members of Foster Club, I want to thank you for giving young people a voice here in Washington, D.C. Thanks.
All right, so I want you to treat our next guests with the same kind attention and respect that you gave Dr. Phil. They traveled a long way to be here with us. I'll just say that not only do we have advocates in the halls of Congress, but we also have partners in Hollywood. Our next two special guests took a day off from production in their popular television show to join us here today on the Hill. And they've kindly agreed to moderate a portion of our program, which we're very excited about, which is a youth panel. So while, speaking of which, can our youth panelists make their way to the front of the room? Youth panelists make their way to the front of the room? There are 4 of you, youth panelists. Great. Take a seat. Take a seat. Excellent, excellent. And as they make their way to the front of the room, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Cierra Ramirez and Hayden Byerly, who play Mariana and Jude in ABC Family's The Fosters.
Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Cierra, and I play Mariana Adams Foster on the ABC Family television show The Fosters. My character Mariana is a 15-year-old student who has been adopted from foster care along with her twin brother.
And I played Jude Adams Foster, who has overcome abuse and now lives in now thrives, actually, in a very loving home.
Yes, The Fosters works to depict stories about foster care that are based on authentic experiences. Today, we're honored to moderate this panel of young people who have experienced foster care firsthand. Let's get started.
Yeah, could each of our panelists introduce themselves?
My name is Alex. I'm 24. I'm from Arizona. And I also have a twin sister, just like on the show. So it's pretty cool. And I have a younger sister. We were born to a girl who was also a foster child. She was 16 years old when she had my sister and I, my twin sister. And our life was really unstable. And we made the choice to go into foster care one day. We sat down, my sisters and I did, and we called CPS, and we made a report that we wanted to be taken. So my story is a little bit different than most people here because everybody was taken, not by choice, but in my case, I was taken by choice because I wanted the help. So, and I was in care for 6 years. So.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Andrea Rico. I am 18 years old. I am from the state of California. I come from a family of 4. I am the oldest. I have 1 sibling. I have 1 brother. He's the youngest. And just like a brief background as to how I got involved with the system was my family, they're immigrants. They migrated from Mexico to the United States to seek better opportunities. And of course, with everyone who has stresses in their life, you know, you experience very low points. Unfortunately, my father experienced some of those very low points and couldn't seek resources to help him, and so he depended on alcohol, and he was an alcoholic, and he ended up physically abusing me and my brother, and, hitting my mom. So one day, the school found out, and that's how I got introduced into the system, so I will be talking a bit about those effects later on.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Caitlin Blakeney. My sister were also introduced into the foster care system. Kind of a little brief background. I was taken from my family because when my biological mom was pregnant with me, there were drugs and alcohol in my system. She was an alcoholic. So eventually, I was taken from her and placed into a foster family, which successfully my brother and sister were placed in the same family, so I was blessed with that.
Hi everyone, I'm Jason. I'm from the Sunshine State down in Florida. So, little bit background on me. Right now, I'm currently a student studying psychology and history at USF. And as a history major, I like chronology. So, my story has 2 basic components. From 0 to 11, I was living with my mom, dad, and brother and sister. And we were very, very poor, and I was bordering on being taken into care for about 11 years. And when I was 11, my dad died, and victim of foul play. And then so I went to live with my maternal family, and sort of time, and I didn't come back. And at age 15, I was taken into care, and my sister soon after was as well.
Wow, thank you guys very much. My next question was going to be, how did you guys get into the foster care system? But you seem to have told that to us already.
you.
If you guys would like to expand on that, you can. So, sorry.
Well, like I said, my mom was really unstable, and she was in and out of jail, so that's how we were pulled in, by choice.
So before I get into more later detail when more questions are asked, I got into foster care not by choice or by my self-reporting, but it was actually from someone in gym class because it was quite evident. I was completely covered and beat up, obviously. So that's how I got into it, and then, I'll discuss it further with you guys later.
Again, my name is Caitlin, and as a baby, so obviously that was an indicator, and also my mom was still being an alcoholic, still abusing their sister by my side.
Yeah, again, for me, protective services were always in my life, and there was always social workers present. But from 11 to 15, things got really bad as I was living with abuse a few times. But yeah, they just kept kicking me out, and finally one day I just didn't come back, and I wound up in care from there.
Well, my character, Mariana, struggles with maintaining a connection to her biological mother. This question is for Andrea. Could you explain how your family connections were impacted after foster care? Yeah.
So right when I was taken from the school to a foster home, I had no interaction with my biological parents or my sibling. Me and my sibling were actually put in 2 separate rooms to be interviewed, and from that moment on, we just quickly lived in an emergency placement for a couple days until things got settled down. And no one told me my rights. You want someone for your support, and the person who I thought I could rely on was my There's a lot of confusion as to how this whole thing came about when we both entered foster care. His foster parents, my foster parents, wouldn't coordinate anything or help me out. It was very difficult to reach out.